I'm not sure how many of you completed previous classes. If you still not complete watching previous session, straight away kindly watch previous sessions, don't miss. Okay, so today it's day 7. Until now, we completed core concepts of Python programming. We completed. So today, I want to start object-oriented programming in Python. Okay, object-oriented programming. I just want to start from today. Many people, they feel OOPS concepts are difficult. Okay, until OOPS concepts, they will show very good concentration. They'll come to the class, but once we started OOPS concepts, they feel something difficult. Okay, they will stop learning Python. Like few scenarios I observe very carefully. Okay, so in my classes, my students should feel object-oriented programming concepts, Jujubi. You have to feel it very comfortable. Okay, so I will make the concepts in very easy manner. I'll make sure that everyone will understand OOPS concepts very well. Okay, but don't lose your interest. Don't feel Python means only list tuple, functions, packages, modules, control flow statements, else. Okay, apart from that, you have OOPS concepts. Remember, if you want to become a solid web developer, if you want to become a Python developer, OOPS concepts are mandatory for you. Okay, so kindly don't neglect these OOPS concepts, which are very, very important. Okay, first of all, we'll see why we need object-oriented programming in Python. Okay, at starting I told you, Python will act as functional programming language as well as object-oriented programming language, I told you. Okay, Python is both procedure-oriented programming language, okay, as well as object-oriented programming language. When I say procedure-oriented programming language, you take the example of C. We will write the code in functions form. When it comes to object-oriented programming language, we'll write a code in the form of class and objects. Okay, so why we need OOPS concepts, that you need to understand very clearly. Concentrate, everyone. When you write the code in object-oriented form, or else when you consider any complex project, okay, you consider any complex banking project, okay, in complex banking project, okay, banking project, if you consider, it has crores of users, okay, and this crores of users has to make different operations. They need to transfer the amount, okay, and at the same time they need to withdraw. Banking application, they'll transfer, withdraw, apply loans, pay bills, apply for checkbooks. If you open your net banking application, there will be n different types of transactions, different types of functionalities you have in your net banking application. Okay, if you write the project, if you implement a complex web application in object-oriented programming way, okay, you get some flexibility. Okay, you get some reusability of the code. Okay, you get some support from OOPS principles. The system will be designed in such a way which can handle any number of people's data, okay, with his own functionalities. That support will be there, that structure will be available in object-oriented programming. Okay, like how that structure will be formed. Okay, you have something called class, you have something called object, you have something called method, you have something called attributes. Okay, all these are available in OOPS concepts, which are not available in functional programming. And apart from this, you have OOPS principles, you have, which will support in reusability, which will give the flexibility. Okay, this OOPS principles you can consider as inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction. All these OOPS principles will make the system easier, will make the system to reuse the code. Okay, all these facilities are available in object-oriented programming, which make complex web projects in a easier way. But these are all in functional programming is not available. You cannot create that system in functional programming language. Okay, so that is the reason object-oriented programming is very, very important in order to design some complex web projects. I hope you got some idea. Okay, so anyone who are learning object-oriented programming for first time, you have to be very clear with some basic terminologies in OOPS concepts. You have to be aware of what exactly class is. What exactly class is. Okay, what exactly object is, you must be aware of. Suppose you're constructing a house. You're constructing a house. While constructing a house, you have to be aware of, okay, while constructing a house, everyone will have a proper plan. Okay, that proper plan will be on paper. That plan is nothing but class. Okay, and once you created a house, that will be physical existing thing. That will be an entity. We call it an object. Okay, we'll take few more example. Okay, so you take animal. Animal is a class of living thing which has some 4 legs, something like that. That animal can be monkey. That animal can be donkey. Monkey will exist physically. But animal will be a class of living things. Okay, that is one thing. One more example. Customer will be a class of people who will take the service from us. But real existing thing, there will be a dharma, there will be a sharma, okay, there will be a varma. These people will exist physically, and this you call it as an object. I hope it's very clear. Okay. And this dharma, sharma, varma will have some properties. Properties in the sense, dharma will have some height, dharma will have some salary. All these things, height, salary, all these comes under attributes of this particular object. And at the same time, what will be the behavior of that object, which we call it as a method. Which we call it as a method. Method here is nothing but dharma will walk, is doing some action, dharma will eat, is doing some functionality. This we call it as a method. Okay, I hope you got some clarity. Why we need object-oriented programming? and what are the terminologies involved in object-oriented programming. You have to be aware of what is a class, what is an object, what is an attribute, what is a method. That few things you need to be aware. After that, you need to be aware of reference variable. Okay, I'll explain it very clearly. Don't worry, I'll make it very clearly. I'll make sure you'll understand everything. And if you are watching it in the YouTube channel, and if you're watching it in now, kindly, wherever you see, you kindly share the feedback, okay, in the comment section so that I can understand how you're able to understand. Okay, if you have any questions, definitely you already have my number, you can get back to me. Okay, so wait for the reply. Definitely, I'm going to help you. Is it clear, everyone? So whatever the paid courses we take, the same training will be given for the free courses also. I want everyone to use it properly. Okay, everyone, please concentrate. Concentrate, everyone. I'll make it very clear. So first of all, let's see how to create a syntax, how to create a class. That is very important. How to create an object, how to create a reference variable, how to create an attribute, everything. I'll make it very clear. Just concentrate, everyone. So far, I hope everything is clear. Please confirm me. I just want to check. So before entering into the practical, I want to verify everything so far is clear. Interesting, guys. Today's concept will be very interesting. I hope every one of you will learn something. Many people, when it comes to object-oriented programming, people feel it difficult. But my students should not feel it difficult. Why? Because I know how to teach them. I know how to make them understand. So kindly concentrate. And I don't know how many of you are practicing. Why? Because we have thousands of students for this free course. Yes, I'm not able to follow up each and every one. But if you're seriously interested, okay, you don't cheat yourself. Kindly practice. And if you have any doubts, kindly get back to me. Okay, let's concentrate, everyone. Let's see how to create a class. What will be the syntax we need to use? You have to be aware of. Let's create a class. File. Let me create a new class. I'm just giving it some random name. If you want to create a class, you have to take class syntax with class keyword. Class keyword you have to use. Class keyword you have to use. Okay, class keyword you need to use. Now, you have to be aware of that. As per the coding standard, class name should follow all the rules of identifiers. And remember, class name every time should start with capital letter. Class demo and colon should be there, and a new line will be created, a new block of code will come. Class demo. Now inside it, I'm creating def. I'm giving a m1. I'm giving parenthesis. Okay, I am saying this as I am a method. I'm saying this as a method. Now you people will get doubt. Sir, 2 days back, when you write something using DEF, you said that is a function, no sir. But all of a sudden, you're writing with DEF and you're saying it method. Sir, can you tell me the difference between method and function? Many people, they'll confuse here. What is the difference between method and function? One main difference is, if you are writing under the class, if you use DEF, that is called a method, no doubt in that. That is one difference. What other differences? So now you can see I'm creating an object. I'm creating an object. Okay. With that object, O is a reference variable, which is referring this variable, which is referring this object. I'm trying to call my method with this reference variable. When I click on run, when I want to execute this, I'll get some error. It says it takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Okay. To make it simple, by default, by default, method needs at least one parameter. Method needs only at least one parameter. But when it comes to the function, function does not need any parameter. But method needs at least one parameter. Method needs. One difference I'm telling you guys. Okay, one difference I'm telling you. Function does not need any parameter. Method needs at least one parameter. And method is defined inside the class. Function is defined outside of the class. That is the difference. Okay. And you can see class demo. I'm defining the method. I'm creating an object. I'm calling that method. Now, when I execute it, it says one positional argument is required. So if I give anything, one parameter, if I give, okay, it will execute. It will give you the output I am a method. Okay, it means method needs by default at least one parameter method needs. When I say that, when I say different parameters, like when I say at least one parameter, people will different values they'll give. Okay, everyone in the class, they'll take different parameter. Why? Because it will work for any parameter. Okay, so to remove that, okay, to remove that confusion, okay, what according to the coding standards, what they did, they took self as a default parameter. Method while needs at least need one parameter. You consider self as a default parameter. Without self, you can give anything. But here, method needs at least one parameter that you call it as a self. Okay, difference between method and function. Function defined outside of the class, whereas method defined inside the class. Method needs at least one parameter, but function does not need any parameter. Okay, that is one thing. Okay, you have a class, you are defining it, you're creating an object. So with the one house plan, how many houses you can construct? You can construct n number of houses you can construct. In the similar way, with one class, you can construct n number of houses you can construct. Is it clear? Okay, so here I can take different number of objects I can create. I can create I can create any number of objects I can create. I can execute that method. Is it clear? So method inside it. I hope you got some fundamental things. Let me create one more object. Okay, the SPI can also use this method. I can create one more object that can also use. That structure is provided in object-oriented programming, which is not available in functional programming language. You cannot create n number of functions. You cannot make that functionality completed. So OOPS concepts is mandatory if you want to become a solid web Python developer. Okay, it's clear. I hope you got some idea. What exactly OOPS? I hope you got some idea. Right, everyone? So any questions so far, guys? If you have any questions, if you are watching this video in the YouTube channel, if you have any queries, I request you kindly comment there. So my team and I will try to reply as soon as possible. And if you're watching this, kindly share it to your friends. So any questions you have, please let me know. If you are understanding well, if you came so far, just to type in the video, I'm understanding. It's going good. Okay, right? Self is a Subhashri. Self is a default parameter. Self is a default parameter. Okay, self is a default parameter. Right? And if anyone having any kind of questions or you're not able to understand, watch it again. Start from first, watch it again until you understand. If you still not understanding, you can comment there. I'm explaining in very simple English. Okay? Right, everyone? Right. Okay, hope you got some idea. You got some method. What is it? Everything you got some idea. Some from fundamentals you got it. After learning fundamentals today, we have to learn types of variables, and you have to learn types of methods. These two concepts I'll explain today. Types of variables, types of methods I'll explain today. And tomorrow we'll discuss about all the OOPS principles. We'll complete tomorrow's session. And tomorrow will be day 8. Concentrate everyone. I'll make it very clear. Don't worry. So now, my dear people, now types of variables. Types of variables. In Python object-oriented programming, you have 3 different types of variables. One is class variable. One is class variable. Other one is class variable or static variable. Class variable or static variable. And other type of variable is we have instance variable, or non-static variable. Instance variable or non-static variable. And next we have local variable. Concentrate everyone. Check it properly. Now let's talk about static variable or class variable. When I say you the static variable when I say, many people, they feel static variable means fixed variable. Okay, but it is not fixed variable. Not fixed variable. Static variable means variable you have to use for common data. Okay, let's take an example. Banking class. Let's take a class bank. Okay, I'll make it very clear. Let's see. Let's see. Take this example. I have a class bank. I have a class bank. Now, if it is the banking class, can you tell me what will be the common data for all the objects in that bank? Okay. For example, if 100 people are there in that bank, for 100 people, what will be the common data? Like, we all use SBI banking application, everyone will use. For all of us, bank name will be common. Bank name will be common, right? Everyone bank name will be common, right? Bank name, which is common data, you write it in the form of class variable or static variable. Remember, class variable or static variable will be defined after the class definition, before the method. Class variable or static variable will be defined before the method. Before the method. You can see before the method will define. Okay. You can see. Right? Now see here. After this, After this, I'm defining some object method. I'm defining display method. I can give any name. In this display method, self as usual, it's a mandatory. So in the method, I want to access this bank name. If you want to access class variable within the method, you have to access with class name. Now I'm creating an object. I'm creating an object Raju, Rani, Ramya. All these are people in the bank. You can see that structure is provided in this object-oriented programming, which is not available in functional programming language. Now, Raju want to display the bank name. Rani want to display the bank name. Ramya want to display the bank name. We are just calling this display method. Now, Ramya is not defined. Just a minute. Spelling mistake. Okay. All will get bank name is Andhra Bank. Check. Right. Now I'm creating a method update in which I will change the bank name as Union Bank. Okay. Now immediately if you observe, Rani updated. Rani called update method. Now Rani dot display. So previous display we got Andhra Bank. Now we displayed Union Bank. So Rani called the update method. So that's the reason we got that. Okay. But for example, if I say Ramya dot display, if I say Raju dot display, so what will be the output for these two customers? Will it be Andhra Bank or will it be Union Bank? Will it be Andhra Bank or will it be Union Bank? Okay. So Rani updated. So you can see when you update this Union Bank, got it into Ramya, got it into Rani. So Rani, when you're displaying, you got it Union Bank. But Ramya and Raju did not call that update method. So now Ramya.display, Raju.display, when you call, like previously when you display, we got it as Andhra Bank. So we did not update it. So we are expecting what? We are expecting Andhra Bank. Everyone, this is what you're expecting, right? This is what you're expecting, right? Rani called the update method. So Rani, when you're displaying, here you are getting as Union Bank. But Ramya and Raju, you did not call that update method. You're trying to display, you're expecting Andhra Bank, it will come. Okay, look at the speciality of class variable or static variable. The specialty of class variable or static variable is this. Whenever you need common data, whenever you have common data you want to represent, you will be representing with class or static variable. And when one object got the change, Pranita, When one object got the change will be applied for all other objects. That is the speciality of class variable or static variable. I hope you got it. Why? Because banking process, if suddenly bank name changed means that will be applied for all other customers. When recently Andhra Bank changed it to Union Bank, no one went to the bank. No one asked you, please change my bank name. Automatically the change happened, right? Everyone, hope you are able to understand. So just try to understand. Union Bank, when you change for one object, Ramya, the change will be applied for all the objects. That is how the static variable or class variable is designed. That will be the specialty of class variable or static variable. Is it clear, everyone? Why? Because that is defined as a class variable. Along with the class, the change will occur. Please confirm me, guys. Is it clear? Class variable or static variable is this. If it's clear, we'll move into instance variable. Okay, if it is common, you have to use. If it is common, you have to use instance variable. If it is common, you have to use instance variable. Sorry, if it is common, you have to use class variable or static variable. But if it is difficult, if it is different, for example, let's take the bank scenario only. Okay, bank name will be common for everyone. Bank name will be common for everyone. Okay, but account number will be different. Aadhaar card number will be different. Mobile number will be different. Address will be different. How we are going to define all these things? Okay, all this individual data, how you can define? For all these things, you have to use instance variable. An instance variable will store in object, guys. Okay, instance variable will store in object. Okay, it's clear. Let's see how to get it. Okay, I'm just using the same thing. I'm using the same example. Let's see. So now, just try to understand. Bank name is equal to Andhra Bank. Okay. Now here, instance variable will be defined inside the method. You're creating a method, you're giving it load. You're giving it load. Why? Because as soon as you create an instance variable that has to load in the object, to load in the object, we are calling a method. I'm just defining it as load, unload, or display, or update. These are not any pre-built functions. You can give any name. Load. Now here, load, I want to define an instance variable. I have to define with self dot, I'll say self dot account number. So I'm giving from hard coded values before I'm giving it. Later on, I'll change it. Don't worry. Phone number. Self dot address. I'm giving it. Now in the display, if you want to access this variables, you can access like this. Okay, so now you can see, let's forget about this update. Now, Raju, I cannot display directly. I cannot call display method directly. Why? Because all these variables, all this instance variable will not load it, is not loaded in object yet. Okay, that's the reason when you try to execute it, display method directly, it will give you an error. Check, it will give you an error. Okay, now if you want to execute this, if you want to execute this, what you need to do, you have to call Raju dot load. You have to call load method, you have to call first. First, you have to call load method. Once you call load method, the values will store in object. Check. Now I call load method. Now I can display. Check. Now I can display. I'm executing. Okay. Bank object has no attribute account number. Now check it. Account number, load, account number, display. Let's check the account number. Okay, celebrate phone number. Let's check the spelling. When we are displaying it, bank name. Okay, just a minute. First of all, okay, Raju dot load. Now see, Raju dot load, it will work. Okay, before loading only we are trying to display it. That's the reason we got. Now, Raju dot load, it can handle very clearly. But Rani, I cannot display directly. Even for Rani object also I need to load. For Rani object also I need to load. Every time you create an instance variable, whatever the method you have to initialize instance variables, you have to call a separate method. Okay, so now we have a superstar. I'll introduce superstar to you. I have class demo. Now I have a method. Okay, I'll say I'm a method. So for this method, you're creating an object. You're calling this method. If you don't call this method, this will not execute. This is method. If you don't call this method, it won't execute. This is a method. Now, instead of method, I'll give underscore init underscore. This is called a constructor. What is this constructor? Constructor is a special method which will help us to initialize instance variable. Now the specialty is, if you create an object, this will execute. If you just create an object, this will execute. Okay. You don't need to call it. If you create an object, it will execute. Okay. Now you create one more object, it will execute. Okay, now let's come to this program. So instead of creating this load method, if I call underscore init underscore, which is a constructor which is used to initialize instance variables, okay, you don't need to call separately load method. Now you can display it directly. You can see. You can display it directly. Now you may get the doubt. Sir, why these two customers have the same data? Instance variable means you have to have separate data. Yes, we need to have separate data. So that is the reason while creating an object, we can pass that. We'll give it in the form of variables. Every individual should have different data. Okay, if you feel it difficult, just watch it again from the starting, guys. I'm making it very easy. I'm going very slow. Okay, kindly, if any of you feeling difficult, kindly watch the recording one more time. Okay, like so that the things will become easy for you. You have to practice. You have to practice. Okay, while creating an object, I'll pass. Raju is equal to bank. Account number, I'm just passing it like this. Phone number. Rani account number. So why? Because every individual will have different numbers, right? Okay, let's see. Every individual will have different values. Now you can see this fellow Andhra bank name is common. It's a class variable I defined, but every other data will be different. Account number will be different, phone number will be different, address will be different. Why? Because every customer will have all these things differently. So that's the reason I given it differently. Now let's come back to this update method. So update method, for example, Ramya got some like she got transferred. So Ramya initially Mumbai, right? From Mumbai, she went to Goa. Okay, right. So now I want to update like self dot address, like from Mumbai, I'm just naming it as Goa. And bank name also I'm updating. So Ramya dot update method I'm following. Okay, now just tell me, guys, Ramya, when it updates, when she updates address of L, will it change address of all other customers in the bank? Will it change all the customers' address, guys? Will it do that? Ramya updated the bank name as well as phone number also. So which one will change? Check it. Tell me, guys. Now you can see I'm creating an object with different data. Raju.display, Rani.display. I'm displaying different data. Ramya, she got some duty from Mumbai. She changed it to Goa. So Ramya.update. Okay. And at the same time, she changed the bank name also. Bank name will be common for everyone. So when you say Ramya.display, Ramya name will be changed, like address will be changed. At the same time, bank name will also be changed. Okay. And at the same time, Rani and Raju address will not be changed, but bank name will change for everyone. Okay. So I hope you're getting the difference between class variable and instance variable. I hope you are able to understand. Very simple concept, guys. You have to concentrate. If you put some concentration, definitely you'll understand. Okay. Is it clear, everyone? Display method, update method. When Ramya called update method, that whatever the phone number or that whatever the address has, that will update only for Ramya. But Ramya, when it changes the class variable, whatever the class variable she changed, that bank name, that update will be given to all. Is it clear? So while creating an object, see, this is object creation. While creating an object, you don't have any indentation. At the end, you'll write it. You can see where you started the class, at the same way, at the same place, you'll start the object. These are all three objects. You are displaying it. And Ramya got updated, and same update bank name class variable update will be given to all other variables, all other objects, whereas whatever the instance variable is there, that update will be given to the Ramya. Clear everyone? Is it fine? If you have any questions, watch it from the starting. If it's clear, just comment. I understood very clearly. I told you, right? You have to practice. That's it. If you practice, it will be more clear. That is about instance variable. And when it is a local variable we already discussed in the functions, guys. Okay, local variable we already discussed in the functions. For example, here you have some local variable within the method. This is a local variable which you can access using. Within this method you can access. This is a local variable, nothing much to discuss. And if you want to make it as a global variable, you can also make it by giving the global keyword. We already discussed this concept in functions. Same thing will be applied. That's it. Okay, but make sure every one of you understand what is exactly class object. Okay, this is very clear. Excuse me, guys. I hope it's very clear. Right? So interesting, guys. Oops concepts are interesting. Koteshwari, I given it very clear explanation. What is that underscore init? Underscore init is a constructor which will initialize our instance variable. Okay. That is a constructor. Right? Global variable is different to class variable. Okay, class variable or static variable, both are same. Class variable or static variable will be using which is common. Okay, I hope it's very clear. Okay, right? Now, if types of variables are clear, we'll move into types of methods. We'll move. Okay, we'll move into types of methods. Types of methods. Is it clear, everyone? We'll move into types of methods. Types of methods. Why we are giving it self.account number? Why? Because we are defining an instance variable and that self will represents like that will belong to this object from here. Got it? Right, everyone? Now let's move into types of methods. Types of methods. If you have any kind of question, you can comment there. We'll try to answer as early as possible. Okay, the people who are watching in the YouTube channel, kindly comment there, share your feedback. Don't miss. Now, let's discuss one more concept. We'll discuss types of methods. Now, the question is, in what situations you have to use what type? Someone asked me, sir, where we use these types of variables, how we understand? Like, it's very, like, if you are creating a class which contains only class variable, you have to follow some method. Okay, so wait, let me discuss types of methods also. Then you get some more clarity. Okay, let's discuss types of methods. Concentrate, everyone. Types of methods, let me discuss. In Python, you have three different types of methods you have. In Python, you have three different types of methods you have. Types of methods. First method, class method. Second method, instance method. We have instance method. And third method, we have static method. You need to remember one thing. Class variable, static variable, both are same. Class variable or static variable, both are same. But when it comes to class method, static method, both are different. You have to remember this thing. Types of method, you have class method, instance method, static method. Class variable, static variable, both are same. But class method, static method, both are different. You need to remember. First, let's discuss about class method. Class method. So you have to be aware on what situations you have to use this class method. On what situations you have to use class method. Concentrate everyone. For example, my class contains, it contains only class variable. For example, it contains only class variable. It does not contain any instance variable. It contains only class variable. If it contains only class variable, to execute a method which have to use this class variable, we don't need to create an object. Why we don't need to create an object? What is the problem of creating an object? Like for example, if you went to Vijayawada, your house is in Hyderabad, you went to Vijayawada. If someone asks you how your house looks like, will you create a new house will you construct a new house in Vijayawada and show him this is what my house looks like? Or will you show a plan, or will you show some photograph which will represent your house? You only decide. Okay. So in the similar way, every time object creation is not recommended. Why? Because it occupies some space. Okay, so now I don't need to create an object. Why? Because I have only class variable I want to access. So now, my dear people, now you can observe carefully here. Now I'm creating a method. I'm creating a method. In this method, I'm trying to access this class variable. I can access it with class name. Now to execute this method, do we need to object? Like so far, we need an object. But if you make this method as a class method, what is this @class method? It is a default decorator. Then without creating an object, you can execute this method. Without creating an object, you can execute this method. And this method is called a class method. You may ask me, sir, when to use it? If your class contains only class variable, there is no instance variable, then if you want to execute a method, you don't need to create an object. Without creating an object, you can call the method. And that kind of a method is called class method. Okay, if there is no instance variable, you have to use it. Now, let's talk about instance method. Instance method is our regular method, guys. Okay, you have a instance variable. You have an instance variable. Okay. Okay, you have an instance variable in this method. Then automatically object creation is mandatory. Object creation is mandatory. When you have instance available, your object creation is mandatory. Okay. And this is a regular method. Whatever we learned so far, It's a regular method. When we create an object, whatever the method you have, that method we call it as a instance method. Okay. So previous example, what is the decorator class method? That you will understand soon. It's a default decorator which represents that method. It is our regular instance method. I hope this is also very clear. Class method, instance method. Now, so far I told you, whenever you create an object, I told you very clearly, whenever you create a method, I told you, you have to use self, I told you. But when it comes to, like, recently, one of my student, he got this question in the interview. Is it possible to create a method without self? Self represents a default parameter, any default parameter. Without default parameter, is it possible to construct a house? Okay, that is the question there. Okay, now let's see. Without self parameter, can we construct a method? Can we create a method? Now you can see class demo. Now here, I am creating a method. For example, first let me display it. You can see, I want to display hello. You can see, if you create a method as a static method, without self also you can execute. If someone asks you, can we construct a method? Can we create a method without self? You can, but your method should be static method. Now you can see without self also you can execute. According to the coding standard, you have to give the decorator static method. You can see static method. You can display it. You can see. Now you can, without self, you can take two more parameters. You can add them. You can pass them. You can see. Without self also you can create a method. You can execute, but that method should be static method. That method should be static method. Is it clear, everyone? Types of methods. Okay, let's go back. We started object-oriented programming concepts we started today. OOPS concept we started today. Okay, so OOPS concepts will be very useful to reuse the code. Okay, the code will be whatever the code you written, that will be flexibility will be there in that with the OOPS principles. Whenever you're trying to learn object-oriented programming, you need to be aware of few fundamental concepts. You need to be aware of what is a class. You need to be aware of what is an object. You need to be aware of what is a method. You need to be aware of what is the method versus function. Now, what is the attribute? What is the reference variable? You have to be aware. If you understood this basic fundamentals, next I started discussing about different types of variables. When it comes to types of variables, we have class variable, static variable, static variable, and local variable. Class variable or static variable, instance variable or non-static variable. Okay, or local variable. Class variable or static variable, you have to use whenever data is common to everyone. Instance variable, individually if data is different for everyone. Local variable on that particular transaction, if you want to define anything, then we'll be using this local variable. Next, we discussed about types of methods. As part of it, we have three different types of methods. Okay. First one is class method. In what situations you have to use class method? If there is no need of object creation, directly with the class name you can access it. Okay. Next, you have instance method, which is our regular method. If there is any instance available, then we call it as a instance method. Next, we discussed about static method. Static method is the method in which we execute without self force. Okay, so far we discussed this. I hope day 7 is very clear, and tomorrow we'll be discussing few more concepts. Okay, few more OOPS concepts. Okay, and after that I'll be starting about exception handling and file handling. I hope so far it's very clear. Okay, thank you. And before ending, I just want to take few questions. So far everything is okay. So far everything is okay. Kiran, depends on the requirement you have to use. You have to feel like which one I need to use first. Depends on the requirement. Requirement, how you will know? Depends whether you need an object or not. So far everything is okay, right?